Hello everybody! Before we get started with the video, I wanted to let you know that I'm going to be discussing some health topics in it. Mostly I'm going to be relating my own experiences with my own medical conditions in hopes that people can learn more about these conditions and maybe pick up some new ideas for dealing with them. However, I am not a doctor. I have no medical training whatsoever. So before you try any of this stuff, please ask your doctor. It may or may not even be applicable to you. And the other thing that I wanted to mention is that not every body reacts the same. So what works for one person's body may not even work for another person's body, and vice versa. But most of all, when making any decision, but especially healthcare decisions, do your research and use common sense. Okay, now on with the video. Hello everyone. Today I would like to talk about dysautonomia and specifically about the night sweats that come with it. Now many people suffer from night sweats at various points in their lives for various reasons. We've all had them when we had the flu and we're sick in bed. And it's miserable because your body is sweating but you're freezing and shivering. So that's kind of what goes on with dysautonomia. Your body causes you to sweat even though you're cold, and it's miserable. And not only are you cold, but you're living in like a puddle, which is really as bad as it sounds. I usually have to get up, change all of my night clothes, and I use sheets that are bigger than my bed is. I'm on a twin-size bed, and I'm using double-sized sheets. So I can take the area that I sweat in and like move it over so that I'm in a dry spot on the sheet. And the sheets usually prevent the sweat from getting to my comforter because gravity doesn't go up, it goes down. So for the most part, it keeps the comforter fairly dry. I can always flip my comforter over too if I can feel some of it. The worst part is the fitted sheet on the bottom. You really can't move that around. So I have this fuzzy blanket on my bed that once I get up and change everything, I will lay down on the bed and sleep on top of that. And it usually keeps me dry, or keeps me separated from the wet sheet underneath, and I will usually sweat onto it as well. So there's only so many times you can do this, and I only have so many blankets, and at a certain point you just have to get up and not be asleep anymore. Well, I have found some types of clothing that dry faster than others. Satin is one of them in certain circumstances, and like a lightweight, breathable cotton. It's usually not very soft. It's usually a really like rough fabric, but I don't mind that as long as it breathes and dries. I do have some regular cotton t-shirts that I wear to bed, and they don't dry very fast, and so they have to get pitched in the laundry as soon as they've been sweated through. I've had dysautonomia my whole life, but I've dealt with the night sweats since about my teen years, and I believe this is because my dysautonomia has been progressive throughout my life. I don't think it has anything to do with the hormones that were going on. I just think my dysautonomia had worsened to that point at that point in my life. I was about 15, I think, and to some extent I get some relief from gabapentin, but I am currently on prednisone because I am post-op from a retinal detachment, and the prednisone seems to be the thing that is making the night sweats worse. It's the only change that has happened recently. So I'm really, really struggling with this right now, and it's exhausting because I'm not sleeping well, and frustrating because what do you do about it? There aren't a lot of good treatments for it. So in part, last night was really bad for me, which is why I'm recording this video. In part, I decided to do some research about how to treat it. And I learned a lot about acetylcholine, which is a neurotransmitter, and it is what activates your sweat glands to produce sweat. So I believe that during my sleep, my acetylcholine levels go up, or something is happening with my acetylcholine that it's activating my sweat glands when it shouldn't be. So drugs that block the action of acetylcholine are called anticholinergics. And there's a lot of them, but none of them are specifically for treating whole body sweating. Although a lot of off-label usage has shown that they do work for that in some people. So I was up very early this morning. I didn't sleep well. I was up very early this morning, and I decided to look those up, and I'm in the process of sort of deciding what I want to try. Right now, I want to start with things that I have access to already, so that's meds that are either over the counter or that I already have a prescription for. I do want to mention that gabapentin is not anticholinergic. The mechanism of action of how it helps with night sweats, as far as I can tell, is not really understood. So I'm not the only person that has experienced that, but they don't know why it happens. It's probably because it's a neurological issue, especially in dysautonomia. Everything in dysautonomia has to do with your neurologic system, so it's calming nerves so they're not setting up the cascade that acetylcholine ends up getting into your sweat glands and turning them on. I'm assuming that's probably what it is, and why it only works for some people. So if your night sweats are hormonally based, it's not going to help, more than likely. So there's that. And so now I'm thinking whether I want to try Benedryl, or both kinds of Dramamine are anticholinergic, so there's the less drowsy and the regular formulation. And I also have some Atarax because I have mast cell activation disorder, so you kind of have to have strong antihistamines on hand for when that acts up. So all of those are anticholinergic, although it's my understanding they're not as effective as some of the other stuff that you might try. But at least I have some understanding of these meds, so that's my plan. I just kind of wanted to talk about the frustration that comes with this disorder and this symptom of the disorder specifically. It's really draining, and it can give you a real sense of hopelessness, because I actually have gotten to the point where I feel anxiety about going to sleep. It's that miserable of an experience, and that's terrible. You shouldn't feel anxiety to go to sleep. It's just frustrating. I wanted to advocate for other people that are also going through this, and as well as myself, so that other people that don't have this understand, and also for the people that are experiencing this, it's normal. You're not alone, and it is really life altering. I am really hoping something works. And that's why I wanted to record this now. I wanted to sort of document my journey with trying to deal with it. So this is step one. I will definitely keep you all updated on how things go. And I'm going to include some links down below for the Dysautonomia Facebook group that I belong to, and an advocacy group. Well, I might include the list of meds that I found that might help. Again, talk to your doctor before you try any meds. Of course, most of these are prescriptions, so you're going to have to anyway. I do also want to mention that with anticholinergics, you are going to have side effects, and there are certain populations that probably shouldn't be taking them. So that includes the elderly, may have issues with cognition. This is because acetylcholine is necessary for attention and cognition. So if you use an anticholinergic, the acetylcholine can't work, and you get a little foggy. And that is obviously going to be worse in the elderly. So if you already have somebody that has dementia or something like that, not a good idea. Or even just mild cognitive decline, it could be potentially hazardous. Also, you have to watch it if you have glaucoma, because it can increase your intraocular pressure inside your eye. So glaucoma is already high pressure, and narrow angle glaucoma especially you have to be careful with. So don't try one of these if you have that, and if your doctor decides they want to try one of these, you need to see the eye doctor regularly to get your pressure checked. Side effects. Side effects for anticholinergic use include all kinds of excretory processes. So what you're doing is you're telling the sweat glands not to produce sweat, but there are other glands in your body that are also triggered by acetylcholine, and this includes the ones that make earwax in your ears. So less earwax is not a big deal, I imagine, for most people. The glands in your nose that make your nasal secretions, so you might end up having a very dry nose. I'm hoping that will happen to me because I actually have vasomotor rhinitis, so my nose makes too much secretions. I do have dry mouth, which is annoying, and it's probably going to get worse, although I'm not sure how it could be any worse, really. But that is a big side effect that people get turned off by. However, I would much rather be able to sleep and just have to drink more water than not be sleeping and have some saliva. So it's, for me, hopefully going to be an okay trade-off. You do have to watch, you can overdose on anticholinergics as well, so always get your doctor involved. They can interfere with how your vessels are dilated in your body, so that will interfere with your blood pressure, and that can interfere with your heart. And acetylcholine is also necessary for muscle signaling, so it can cause impaired mobility and coordination. So these are things to look out for if you're going to go down this road. And these are the things that I'm going to be looking out for. But I'm hoping that, like I said, some of the side effects might actually be desirable for me. So I'm excited to try this, and I hope it goes well. And I will keep everyone fully advised. Until next time, remember to love each other and be well.